So one day I was in this business meeting and I was training. I had 50 leaders, entrepreneurs, business people in the room where I'm there to teach them sales and communication. So just kind of picture that in your mind. So I'm wearing a suit, right? We have business professional people in the room. And I'm talking business numbers. I'm getting strong and direct. I'm getting motivated. Like it's a very powerful session. Then all of a sudden, I start to feel this very strong anxiety, this very strong fear, this very strong depression. Out of nowhere. Now this is the thing, every time I go into a meeting, I already check my body, my emotions on purpose, for a purpose, to be able to recognize these things, because I'm very high in my emotional intelligence and my self-awareness. So I like to see, what's going on in the people around me, and to be able to feel them. And in order to be able to feel them and help them, I need to know what I'm walking into that room with. So I always check myself before I go into meetings. So as I'm teaching very powerfully, like I'm feeling like motivated, right? Then all of a sudden this wave of anxiety, this wave of fear, this wave of depression, I start to feel. So right there, I know it's somebody in the room. So as I'm teaching, I'm starting to look, who is it? Because I feel like this is God showing me that there's somebody in the room that needs help with this. So I'm starting to pay attention, and then there's this one woman that kind of gets highlighted to me, right? So I do a little smile to kind of start to create connection, because I'm feeling like it's over here. So I do a little smile, a little acknowledgement, and I talk. And then as I'm discussing certain things about, self-belief, about, motivating yourself, I start saying specific things, like while looking at her on purpose, to kind of trigger, because I feel like it's something over here. So towards the end of the meeting, I close. She comes up right up to me after the meeting. And she said, hey, sorry to bother you, but can I just have 5 minutes with you? I know we just have a 5-minute break. Can I just talk to you privately, please? So right here, I knew. I'm like, okay, it is her. There's something going on here. This is like a strategic, divine setup, right? Where I'm going to be helping this woman. So this is all inside, of course, but outside, I'm like, okay, sure. But inside, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be amazing. So then I go and I ask somebody who, it's their office. I go, is there any room that I can use that's private, that I can speak to her just for a couple minutes? Sure. So they open the door. Her and I go in there, and she says, you know what? I wasn't supposed to be here today. I said, okay. She goes, actually, I haven't been out of my house for like 8 months. I'm all, interesting. Why? She says, I've been depressed. I've been really depressed so deep that I can't eat, I can't sleep, I've lost weight, my immune system's dropping, I'm pale, it's hard to even get up to use the restroom. So, okay, and she goes, that's why for me, when I woke up this morning and I just kept hearing, you need to go to this meeting, you need to go to this meeting. And for me, I'm like, I'm gonna go to a stupid business meeting? I can barely even get up. Why do I want to go to a business meeting? And she kept feeling it. And she told me, she goes, I don't know what you believe, but I feel like it was God. I feel like it was God making me to come here. And I feel like if somebody can help me, it's you. Talk about a divine setup here. So we, after she shared that, we have 4 minutes left of this break. So I said, okay, obviously this is a setup here. This is on purpose, for a purpose here. So you're asking me. So I asked for permission to speak freely so we can get over this quickly, because we have 4 minutes. And she says, sure, whatever. Right? So I just began to ask her a couple questions, because I know that the depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all those things are not the real problem. That's a symptom of something else. So my job is to ask a couple questions so I can get clarity of where the root is. Where did this begin? What is it? So I can uproot it and help her to change her perspective about it, and it'll change everything for her. So she began to share. And she had a very traumatic, background. She's gone through some very, very hard things that had fractured her in her soul, that scared her, that hurt her, and it caused her to isolate. And that's where she was just vulnerable, and she went downhill from there. So I began to, open things up for her and share with her how the brain works, how emotions work, how we can transform those things and convert those energies into something that will help us with our future, rather than take us down and enslave us into this dark depression. Because, come on, 8 months? So she had this hurt because of death in her family. Her mother had died about a year before that, and she was super broken, feeling alone, and she took it in. Her and her sister took it in so much that it just fractured her. She got lost. Her identity, her biggest source of love was in her mother, and now that was gone. So it messed her up. So I began to teach her that this love that she was getting, it's a need, it's important. And I said, there's other ways to do it, and I'm sorry that you lost your mom, but you need to replace and fill those needs in healthy ways. Otherwise, you're going to keep going down. So this is where the powerful thing happened. That's, now we have about a minute left, right? Because I wanted her to understand what was going on. I wanted her to see that there was light at the end of the tunnel, that, there was hope, that she can have a confident expectation that good can come, that this could all change. So I did that in a couple minutes, and in the last minute, I pulled out the big guns. I prayed for her. Remember, this is a business meeting. I don't know her, it's a stranger. I don't know if this is okay, and I don't care. I just know that she's struggling, that this is here. I'm right here in front of this, and I know that I can't remove that. So I said, you know what? All right, God, this is something that's very deep, and I have a minute. For me, it's impossible. But for you, all things are possible. So I prayed, and I asked God to come and heal. She began to weep and cry, but then smile and laugh. And this joy came over her where there is this miraculous shift in her mind, in her emotions, in her face, her body language. She walked out of that room a whole different person. She called me the next morning and said, hey, I was afraid that it would come back. But this morning, I got up and I went for a walk around my block. What a beautiful story. So I want to encourage you guys to see the truth in this, because the truth will set you free. If you're dealing with depression, there's hope. There's hope.